And now let's look at what's happening in the other side of the world. Brazilian President Lula da Silva is visiting China. He was supposed to go in late March, and it was supposed to be a mostly business trip. But Lula fell ill. He was diagnosed with pneumonia. Now that he's recovered, he's going first to Shanghai, then to Beijing. This man is 77 years old, and the fact that he's traveling this far so soon after recovery is significant. China knows it. Here's what they say.
China is willing to work with Brazil to take this visit as an opportunity to promote the upgrading of mutually beneficial and friendly cooperation between the two countries in various fields, and to inject more positive energy, to promote solidarity and cooperation among developing countries, and to jointly address global challenges.
That's a lot to unpack, but let's break it down into two major parts. One, mutually beneficial ties between China and Brazil, and two, jointly addressing global challenges. We'll start with Brazil-China relations. Lula da Silva is visiting Shanghai for an inauguration. The latest head of the New Development Bank is taking charge. This bank, the New Development Bank, or the NDB, was formed by BRICS nations in the year 2014. It will now be headed by Dilma Rousseff. She's a former president of Brazil. She took over from Lula as president in the year 2011. And now she's heading the NDB. A key ally of Lula is heading a Shanghai-based bank. And he's attending her inauguration. This is a far cry from the rocky ties that Brasilia and Beijing shared for a while. The last president of Brazil was Jair Bolsonaro. He was a staunchly anti-China leader. He tried to limit trade with China. Lula, in his previous tenures as president, has pushed trade with China. In fact, in 2009, China had overtaken the US as Brazil's top trading partner. China has been investing billions in Brazil, both in infrastructure projects and in setting up businesses. But some of that money dried up during the Bolsonaro years due to his perceived anti-China stance. Now that Lula is back in charge, China-Brazil ties are thawing.
I would like to say that Brazil has returned to the stage of world diplomacy and the center of international relations, which President Lula has paid close attention to since he took office. This visit to China is undoubtedly an important step towards rebuilding the friendly relations between the two countries. Of course, we will all defend our respective interests, but by working together, we hope to seek more development for the two peoples.
And now the yuan is flowing into Brazil, literally. The two countries recently agreed to trade in their local currencies. They're bypassing the US dollar. Does this mean that Lula has shifted Brazil's allegiance to China and that he's spurning the US? It's not as simple as that. Brazil is playing a delicate balancing game. As tensions continue to rise between the US and China, the US is still Brazil's second largest trading partner. Lula has to keep Washington happy. And that explains why his first state visit after becoming president was to the US. But these are polarized times, and a balanced approach is not appreciated in times like these. Yet Lula wants a global role for himself. So he weighed in on the war in Ukraine. This is what he said.
What does Putin want? Putin can't keep Ukraine's territory. Maybe we don't even discuss Crimea, but will have to rethink about what he has invaded. Also, Zelensky can't want everything he wants to demand. NATO will not be able to set itself up at the border. So, this is something we have to put on the table.
He suggests the middle path, and he's found no takers. Ukraine, of course, has rejected any compromise on Crimea, and Russia seems unlikely to accept a diplomatic end to the war. Which brings us to our second point, Brazil and China trying to jointly address international challenges. Xi Jinping has already proposed a peace plan. And Lula da Silva says the Chinese president is the best person to mediate in Ukraine.
I am convinced both Russia and Ukraine are waiting for somebody to come and tell them to sit down and talk. Why do I want to talk to Xi Jinping? Because I think China's economic importance, China's military importance, China's political importance, and China's relationship with Russia, even China's divergence with the US, gives China an extraordinary power to dialogue.
E mesmo a divergência da Rússia, da China com os Estados Unidos.
So Lula believes that China still has a role to play, even though their peace plan was a damn squib. And it's not just China that Lula is propping up. He has a list of potential mediators, including India.
A China tem peso.
China has weight, Brazil has weight. I think Indonesia can participate. I think India can participate. Let's talk to Putin. Let's talk to Zelensky. Let's talk to Biden. Let's see if we can find a group of people that disagree with the war.
Sabe, que não se conforme com a guerra.
Lula's approach seems to favor a multipolar world, a world where emerging economies play a role in global diplomacy, where the world is not held hostage to the schemes of great powers. It sounds admirable, but is his choice of ally in China really the way to go about this? Because remember, as we've seen all too often, a deal with China rarely comes without strings attached.